And I want to thank you for that last explanation, because I think that's something that does need to be clear in regards to who Hamas is.
Committee will come to order.
10,000 civilians have been killed. Nobody's trying to prevent civilians from being killed in Gaza.
No.
It's a genocide. It's slaughter. It's slaughter. It's genocide. It's ethnic cleansing. That's the truth. Call it what it is. Call it by its name.
The chair reminds our guests.
It's ethnic cleansing. You're slaughtering Gaza.
The chair reminds our guests today that demonstrations from the audience will not be tolerated, including verbal outbursts. And we again appreciate your right to protest under the Constitution, but we would ask that you do that peacefully and in a style that does not disrupt the proceedings. Thank you. Mr. Meeks.
Thank you again, Mr. Chairman, because we know that what's going on in the death started when it was Hamas who violated a ceasefire. It was Hamas that committed these heinous acts. And it is Hamas who have stated that these deaths, it's good for them as far as martyrdom, because they will never stop until they destroy Israel. So I think that that's important for the record to be clear. And I think it's also important for the record to be clear because I think the language, and I would ask Secretary Leaf, in regards to the administration talking about a humanitarian pause, which is for the Palestinian people, as opposed to a ceasefire, which benefits Hamas. And I think that most people want to make sure that the innocent Palestinians are giving a safe space and moving forward, and that's why the administration has called for a humanitarian pause. But a ceasefire would only give Hamas, as they have stated, the opportunity to rearm themselves and do what they did on October 7th again, because they said they would do it again and again. Is that accurate?
Ranking member, that is accurate. If you would permit, I'll elaborate a bit. When the secretary came out on his visit to the region last week and met with Israeli leaders, at the president's request, he put on the table what we believe is a timeliness for humanitarian pauses. And I do stress pauses because these should be embedded into current operations, and they can be. And those will allow civilians to move out of harm's way. They will allow us to open up the aperture even wider to get a really robust flow of humanitarian assistance into Gaza, and then for it to be delivered to those in need. It also this would also likely support the efforts that we're undergoing to get the release of hostages and get them to safety. A ceasefire, on the other end, at this moment, would leave Hamas still in a position with 200+ hostages, a very large military infrastructure, and the capacity to continue attacks. And by the way, a senior Hamas leader last week made it very clear publicly that they would look to commit an October 7th style massacre again and again and again.
Thank you for that. So let me move to a different place, because I believe also there needs to be a plan in place to ensure that once Israel's military operation against Hamas has concluded, that there will be an entity in place credible to the Gazans who can administer Gaza and provide basic security. And I know that Secretary Blinken has indicated that he thought that the Palestinian Authority might be the appropriate entity. So I want to ask you that question. What is your view on the Palestinian Authority as an appropriate entity to assume control of Gaza in the future? And as well as that, I've talked to a number of others in the region, Saudi Arabia, UAE, et cetera. What can our Arab states do to assist in stabilizing and administering a Gaza in the immediate period following Hamas's removal from power?
So to your first question, Ranking Member, the Palestinian Authority, as we all know, is the only Palestinian government that has come out of the Oslo Accords. It is, whatever its shortcomings, is the government for the Palestinians in the West Bank. We do believe that ultimately Palestinian voices and aspirations have to be at the centerpiece of post-conflict governance and security in Gaza. We are looking at all of these questions right now. We would like to begin those discussions sooner rather than later. I would say our Arab partners, on the one hand, as we heard from them last weekend in Amman, are very focused on the here and now. They're very focused on the issues of the humanitarian crisis, and they're focused on obtaining a ceasefire. We are doing both things. We're focused on the here and now, but we're also looking over the hill past the conflict and what needs to come. And I'm quite confident that we will find support in our common efforts. But I want to stress that we do think the PA is the appropriate place to look for governance eventually.
My time has expired, so I yield back.